From stripper to sensual yoga teacher, what does it mean to come home to a body the world taught you to leave? Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Keenan, and I've created the Magdalene Interview Series and Black Madonna Code Show to begin to widen the conversation around who is Mary Magdalene, what is the Black Madonna, what is the Divine Feminine, and why does it matter for us today, and bring things into a little bit more practical terms, and also talk about how we be with lineage, how we be with people carrying spiritual traditions, and doing that in a way that's respectful and that's not actually perpetuating systems that have been oppressive or toxic. And so this is what this show is today. We're glad you're here. I think it's been maybe a week and a half or something. I feel like I haven't done an interview in a while. So if you're tuning in with us at any point today, say hi. Or if you're watching the replay, let us know and we'll keep an eye on the comments. And I am so excited because I have with me today Essence Turner. And Essence's story is so powerful. And I was meeting with Essence and she said, well, I don't have a really strong connection to Mary Magdalene necessarily, or the Black Madonna, or these pieces. And what has continued to happen as I've held these conversations is that certain codes and principles have emerged, like the patterns that have continued to emerge that I see kind of enduring through many traditions, enduring through many women today, and what it really means to be a woman leader. And I said, Essence, I feel like you are embodying all of these things. Would you please come on to the show because of the journey that she's lived? And so, without further ado, welcome, Essence. Please tell us a little bit about who you are and the work that you do, and we'll start there.
Hi. Well, thank you for having me, Melissa. I feel like I'm just going to keep smiling, like just happy to be here. So I'm Essence Turner. I am a sensual yoga teacher, and what the title that really resonates the most is like a feminine energy healer. Like that's the way I see myself, but also a radical forgiveness coach. And what's behind the work that I do is like I'm helping women to release heavy energy stored in the body, from trauma, from shame, from the things that we've experienced. Because I believe that the things that we hold in our body, they keep us from having a healthy and beautiful relationship with ourselves. They that energy attracts people and situations and circumstances that don't always feel the best. And so that was my experience. And then once I healed, the outside world and my relationships shifted. And so that's the healing that I want to bring to other women, is helping release that energy, release that weight, so that your relationship with yourself is beautiful and the life that's being reflected back to you is beautiful too.
Oh, that's so awesome. When Essence and I met, I said, I think that so many women today like relate unfortunately to this idea that the world has really taught us to leave our bodies, reject our bodies, leave our bodies behind. Alter our bodies, whatever. We have had this disconnected relationship with the body, and you add things like trauma and lived experience to that, it makes it that much more intense. But I also think that, you know, being born as a Black woman in a Black body, I told Essence, like, if I was going to learn how to come home to my body, I would look for a Black woman teacher, because holy shit, like the extra layers of what that means just for being born into the body that you're born into, and to have gone through and traversed that journey. I'm like, you're doing it at a level that is so inspirational and deserves a lot of reverence and respect. So, maybe share with us a little bit about what being disconnected from your body looked like, and then kind of what helped you find your way home.
So I would say as a kid, I was pretty connected with my body and my feelings. I was the only child, so there was a lot of time with just me. And then growing up, like I would hear like you're too emotional, you're a crybaby, wear your feelings on your sleeves, that kind of thing. So then as I got older, I started to harden. Like I wanted there to be more of a protective shell there so I wouldn't feel as much. And also being so connected to my body. I don't know if this has anything to do with, but I was also very shy and very self-conscious, but only because I was shy and an introvert, and that seems like that's not acceptable. So then that's where the disconnect began, was seeing myself the way I truly am as being unacceptable, especially like at parties. I can remember being like 14, having my first drink at a party because here I am with kids I go to school with every day, but I'm stuck in the corner, like frozen, like I can't move because that I'm just not comfortable and I'm very awkward, like so I drank to come out of the shell and be somebody else. And then that is a pattern that started with me leaving my true self, which is this introvert that's fine in the corner, but it's not okay with everybody else because you should be, like the life of the party. So that's one of the main things that started the disconnect. So the not so being socially awkward, and then also wearing my feelings on my sleeve. And so I started to distance myself from myself, and I used alcohol a lot to do that. And then when I turned 21, I became a stripper. I don't know if you want to go there yet, but I'll just
Yeah,
say, okay, I will just say that being in that world, like I quickly learned, like there's no room to be in your feelings, in your emotions. Like I gotta go in with armor and with a shell because you never know what a guy is gonna say or what a guy is gonna do. And so it's like I can't be open emotional essence. I have to be walled up essence.
yeah, wow.
So that I was there for almost 10 years. I call it the underworld. In the underworld, not really being truly myself, constantly drinking because, again, I'm a shy introvert in this world with all these men, staring at you, and you don't have, clothes on. And it's just like I'm in this whole environment that's very unfamiliar to my nervous system, so I have to drink to like be there. And so for years, that was just the pattern. Essence has a wall up, Essence drinks to, feel okay in this environment. And it just created a very distorted relationship with myself and my body.
Wow, wow, wow. And yeah, well, I have so many, like my mind is going in a million different directions in relation to like so many thoughts and questions and things about this. Maybe let's come back to that journey. Um, when what happened when you started to come home to your body?
So after the club.
Yeah.
Okay. So after the club, I I was working in a bar, and I started making jewelry, and then people wanted to buy my jewelry. I was making it just for myself. And then as I'm in this creative energy creating, it's like the spiritual light starts to illuminate inside of me, and I go from listening to Nicki Minaj while I'm making jewelry to um personal development books, and so things just started to open and blossom there, just through listening and having different input, and also being in that divine creative energy is just so beautiful. And that, I think, is what started to wake me up. And then that's how my spiritual journey started to unfold. But once like my consciousness like started to raise up, then I had a lot of shame about my past, about being a dancer, because it's like now this light is on and my ego is really taking full advantage of how I just have lived wrong. And I also kind of during this point started going back into like going to church and stuff. And then that really is like turning up basically my sinful life. uh, and then I had another bit of awareness of like, oh, like, no, it's not supposed to be like this. I'm not supposed to judge myself. I'm not even supposed to see myself as a sinner, like something deeper, something's more beautiful is happening here. And I then got pulled more away from the church and just onto just like a spiritual path. Didn't really know what that mean, what that looked like, but it was like religion isn't it, and I don't know what is it. So that is the journey of me starting to come back, because now I'm connected to something that I hadn't ever really felt connected to, this divine guidance just happening inside of me. And like I could only hear that when I was in my body, like being quiet, being still,
Yeah.
listening and trusting. And then as I started to slow down and really be here more and more, I could sense the heaviness, again, the shame, everything that was there. And I really understood, like, if I want to feel different and if I want to have things be different in my life, like this stuff in here has got to go.
Wow. So, okay, fast forward us to how you're helping women right now with these sorts of blocks and like cuz now you've got a lot of like skill set on board and stuff. What does that look like when you're helping someone?
Mm. It can look different, but let me just see an example, like one of my okay. So a few weeks ago there was a woman, almost like an emergency situation, like she just felt like she could not get grounded, and she was a healer herself. And she was going through like a break, not a breakup, but an argument that her brain was telling her there was going to be a breakup, and it was causing a lot of panic in her body. And as soon as we got on the call, I instantly, like a psychic surgeon, I'm like, you think the panic and the anxiety is about the breakup, but no, that's your inner child, that's your nervous system needing to know and understand that you're not going to leave. You think they're concerned about the guy leaving, but it's no, because if he leaves, you're going to leave yourself. You're going to shut down. You're going to turn against yourself.
Mm.
And so, what our work needs to be here is to bring you back deeper in connection with yourself and let your inner parts know that no matter what happens with him, you are going to be there for you. But before we can get there, we need to move, we need to breathe, we need to get this anxiety, this immediate panic that's happening right now in your nervous system. We need to shake and scream and get all that out. You know, we're going to match activation for activation until the body calms down. And then, like 20 minutes later, she's like, oh my God, I can see things clearly. Like, if we break up, then okay, bye, but I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to go through with our business ideas that me and him had and all this. And I said, okay, guess our time is done. Because I was just like, after 20 minutes, and I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But like the breakthrough happened so quickly once we started to move the energy, because she was just globbing everything together because she was in so much pain. Like, if he leaves me, then I'm not going to do my business. I'm not going to do this. She couldn't see the truth. She couldn't see her own inner strength because of all the heaviness that was weighing on her.
It's so common, right? When something scary happens to just flee our bodies, and our bodies have so much wisdom. I work right now with a somatic therapist, and I didn't even know that you could find those in traditional therapy, but I found one and she's so great. Like, as soon as we get on the call, every time she's like, well, shall we check in with your body? And then if I get too into my stories or I'm panicking or whatever, we're tapping, or she's like, maybe something, hold yourself while you're telling this story. Or she'll pause me and say, can we check in with your body? It's like, I thought that I was doing a lot of my own drop into your body type of work even before I started working with her. But like the first 6 months, every single call, I would just cry through the whole thing. And that was indicative to me that I was not being in my body. And like it wasn't coming home, it was needed. So, I love that so much. And I think we don't even realize, most of us walk around not even realizing that we're really so disconnected from our bodies.
Yeah, and so many of us, again, like we think we can do the work on our own. And a lot of it, some of it you can, like you were doing stuff, but it wasn't until you were in a container and you were being held and there was safety there that now that stuff can start to come up. Because what I like to say is like we try to wear too many hats. Like you're the victim, the one the thing happens to, and like you're the healer in the session. And no, you need to just let yourself be the student or be the victim and let somebody guide you through it. Because when you're trying to play and wear all the hats, you're not getting the deepest healing that you could get. And also your ego is not even going to let you go as deep because it wants to stay the same. So it's not, as soon as I would say you feel that one tear right there and you like, you know what I'm saying, when you're on your own. But
Yeah.
when you're being held, you can just let go and the tears come, or somebody can see you stopping yourself and then they're like, no, I'm always doing this with client. I'm like, no, let's pause and let that emotion that you're trying to stop, let's let it come through. We don't really do that with ourselves. We just
Yeah.
want to hurry up and get done, get to the other
Get
side.
past the uncomfortable stuff. Exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah,
it like leaves residue in our bodies and it
absolutely.
needs to be held. It's like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
oh, wow. So, okay, I like what I want to circle back to with your time as a stripper and like seeing, I mean, even just the way that you talk about yourself and the way you express yourself, it like is so evident how much healing you did. Um, and have done, I'm sure, and continue to do, right? The healing is never over, but like to be in such love and acceptance of yourself. And I think I'd like to talk about this like healing with like eroticism, healing with sensuality in particular. And I keep thinking too, and so I'm gonna just say a bunch of things and then you can go wherever you want to with it. But I keep thinking too, like, is there a way to exist as a stripper without having to be so disconnected from self? And like, I think about like the type of priestess, if you will, or healer or shaman that you are now. Like you carried all of that in your body, even in those places. And I think about sex priestesses. I think about like, going into the underworld and where we meet people in these places. And anyway, so I have all of these like thoughts go. I don't know. Now I'm just going to let you talk.
Um, I bet there are so many women now in this day and age and 2026 who are able to do that because there is less shame, less stigma around being in that environment or choosing that as, your career path for however long. But like for me in the early 2000s, there was still a lot of shame and taboo. And like I remember this time, this guy, I'm in Atlanta, I'm from Michigan, and this guy from my hometown walks in the club and I'm on stage and I'm like, you have got to be effing kidding me. And like the fear of him going back and telling people, you know what I mean? So with that, it was hard to like own and be fully in my body and be fully in acceptance, because in the back of my mind every day, now I'm not thinking about it, but in the back of my mind it's like, this is shameful to my family, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't think Yeah, so that's why I couldn't just really truly hold my power, my full on essence, being in that environment. And I would have to even do a lot of work now to, I think, because there's that conditioning would still be in me because I didn't work on that conditioning around that. So, like, if I were to go back in that environment again to hold my full power as a priestess, using and sharing my body in that way to make money, there would be some more work that would have to be done, and more like letting go of what my family thinks. So, again, they're just, yeah, I know that that would still be there, and that I would have to work through that to really fully own my full essence there. But that's also what I'm trying to do with my sensual yoga work, is because that stigma is still there a little bit when I'm sharing movement and breath and my little sexy jammies online. And I'm constantly having to tell my body and my nervous system it's safe, it's okay, you know. So yeah, the work still continues. But like, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to take the sensual yoga teacher training course, is to be able to like have that full circle
Mhm.
moment and be able to share this work of softness, a little spicy, a little sexiness in there. It's not all of what it's about, but I do believe that that energy is deeply healing. It's deeply feminine. And I always like, I think that like being in your feminine is one of the most healing things that you can do for your nervous system. And this is a shortcut. Sensuality, sensual practice is a shortcut to like nervous system work and like stability, maintenance, being able to hold a regulated state.
I love that. I don't know if I had shared with you, or if you knew that I've been an intimacy mentor and coach since 2018. And that was what I did before I opened the publishing company. So I still work with people like referral basis and stuff now, but of course, lead mostly with my publishing work and thought leadership and all that. But in my time as an intimacy coach, I found those same layers of stigma and shame, even for women who were just trying to be sexual with their husband. Inside of every box was checked of every yes thing that you were supposed to do. But it's like, but up until this point, I was, so locked up, or purity culture or whatever, like to even just be sexual with my husband, I'm having to go through these layers of, or I worked with so many women who would say to me, I could never have sex again and be totally fine. And like, and knowing, that there is a place for that, but the majority of people are not asexual. The majority of women are not asexual. They have disconnected so far from their body. They don't know how to be at home with feelings of pleasure. And most often, like, they're also disconnected from joy, like simple, that maybe like higher level, easy access things that come with pleasure. And so I think this work is so important. And it's just what a gift, your perspective, your life, that you've traversed this to then be able to help and support others on their journey. So I hope y'all can feel this is why I wanted to bring Essence onto the show. I'm like, this is amazing. This whole journey is so beautiful. We had some other things that we wanted to talk to about as well, and we're just out of time. So we might have to have you on again another time, Essence. But tell everyone how they can connect with you, how they can connect with your work. If there's ever anything you're inviting people into right now, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, so you can follow me over on my blog. I have a Substack. It's called The Self Healing School. And I write and talk about healing and share tips and tools and practices over there. And I'm always in a space of receiving clients to help women work through that emotional weight, the things they're carrying in their body, or even just having a deeper relationship with themselves and their body. I actually think the better your relationship is with yourself, like the easier healing the trauma is, because your body and your inner parts trust you and they're willing to show you things and talk to you and release things when that relationship is built. So yeah, I'd love to work with women one on one. That is my jam. And so you can find out more there at the Self Healing School on my services tab. Or yeah, just follow along and on Instagram, Essence Turner underscore.
Awesome. So grateful for you to come on and share these pieces of your story and your wisdom. And we've got all those links in the description. So wherever you're watching from, please click around, give Essence a follow. And I just want to name as well that we have just launched the Meeting Place, which is a community for Black Madonna integrated leadership. And so if you've listened to this conversation and you felt like, I love this, this is the kind of spiritual conversations that I want to be in the room for, we'd love to have you. That's exactly what it's for, so that we can all come together, elevate side by side, and really amplify each other through willingness to speak to things like spirituality, liberation, how we be in our bodies, all of these things. And so you can find the link for that too in the description. Well, Essence, thank you again for your time on the show today.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we'll see y'all next time.